Hi, everybody, and welcome. Today is Thursday, June 27th, 2024, and I'm Kathi with Simply Cards by Kathi. I have a little bit something different for you tonight. We're going to do a technique, and we're going to use colored pencils. Now, I have to preface this a little bit with some background. I've been stamping for years. 35 plus, and you get a lot of supplies over that time. Was a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. We're supposed to use, particularly for our videos, Stampin' Up! Supplies. I love to color. I love all mediums. It doesn't matter if it's the pastel chalks or the blends or the watercolor pencils, and I love colored pencils. So I had been experimenting a while back, and I love using colored pencils with Gamsol. It just, if you've never done it, and I hope you're here to learn, you get a beautiful look with it. But Gamsol actually is meant to be used with regular color pencils because it breaks down the wax in the pencil, and it allows it to be blended or spread on your paper. Very similar to water, what water does with watercolor pencils. So I like the look of the Gamsol. It's different than when using watercolor pencils. So I had been experimenting with it, and that's what I want to show you. I want to show you how you can use it. Now, people will tell you you can't use it, that the water does the same. I don't think the water has the same look as the Gamsol does. So I'm going to let you be the judge. But I am going to flip this camera down, and I have a lot to show you. So stay with me. In the end, we will make a card, and in the end, I'm going to show you two more. Hi, Carla. Thank you for joining me. So let's flip this over. And I did bring you in closer tonight because I want you to be able to see what I'm doing. I will be using the large floral image of Spotlight in Nature, and we are going to be using this die to cut it out once we're done. So I'm going to move those off to the side, and let me bring in Gamsol and tell you a little bit about it. This is Gamsol. Now, Gamsol is a mineral spirit, but if you're using it, you do not want just any grade of Gamsol. You want the artistic grade. It is odorless, so there's no smell. It does evaporate, so when you're using it, when you're done using it, you want to be able to cover it up because it does evaporate. And again, it's typically used with colored pencils, not watercolor pencils. But I'm going to show you that I think you can use it with watercolor pencils. I also have at the end, I'll show you an image that I colored with regular color pencils. Now, what kind of color pencils will work with this? Any kind, even Crayola color pencils will work with this. But so do our Stampin' Up! Watercolor pencils. So let me bring in a piece of paper, and I'm using basic white. And again, we're going to use this large stamped image. Now I'm going to use Tuxedo Black Memento ink, and it does not matter if you use the Tuxedo Black or StazOn. Either one of them will work with the Gamsol. I tend to prefer the Memento just because that's what I'm typically using, and unless I'm watercoloring, and so that's kind of what I stick with. So I'm just going to ink that up, and we're going to go ahead and just pop that down, give it a good press, and pick up our image. Now, you can also heat emboss your image and still do this technique. All right, I have notes here. I don't want to forget anything. To use the Gamsol, I put mine in a little jar. You can put it in a little dish. And then I put it in the jar simply because then I can put the lid on it and I have it ready to use. I have picked out Melon Mambo and our Granny Apple Green and Old Olive to use. And I have a Flirty Flamingo here on the side. So when you're doing this, you use what we call blending stumps. And blending stumps are a paper wrapped, almost like a brush, but a very tight tip, paper wrapped blender. That's what they're called. To keep these sharp, you just sharpen them up on either nail file, or this is a sandpaper pad that usually comes with them. So I'm going to go ahead and we're going to start off here with our color. And I want to start off with Melon Mambo. So let's make sure I pick up the right one. Now, for this, you want to actually put down a fair amount of color. And I like to put my color around the edges and then a little bit up the center here. And now we're going to go ahead and I'm going to bring in I have two here. I'm going to bring in my blending stump. And when you start off, you want to dip it in and don't take it out right away. You want to hold it in there for just a minute or so and then tap it off. Because if you just dip it in and take it out, you're only going to get the Gamsol on the outer portion of this blender. You want it to be able to soak through and so that it really can blend that color for you. So I'm going to start here and I'm just going to do circular motions lightly. And I'm going to go ahead and do both sides. Now I'm going to come in over on the right. I'm going to turn this around a little bit for me. And I'm just going to blend and then very gently. You really don't have to blend hard with this. This Gamsol is like a mineral spirit or an oil, and it blends very easily. I like to leave the center of my petals a little bit lighter so that you get some dimension to the color. And let's add another petal here. So I'm going to go ahead and lay down my color here. If you've used Gamsol before, leave me a comment and let me know your thoughts. If you have questions about using it, please put them in the comments. I promise I'm going to look up and try to check those so I can answer while we're doing the live. If you are new to my channel, welcome. I'm really happy you found me. I hope you'll like what you see and hit that subscribe button. That way you'll get notified when I go live or when I post a new video. And if you're with me live or you're catching me on the replay, thank you so much for your support. I truly appreciate it and just love being here with all of you. So you can see I'm just kind of moving that around and you're getting some variation in color. Now I'm going to go over to the next petal and again blend from the side towards the center and then over from the other side towards the center. And I'm going to leave it a little lighter in the middle. And this one I want to make just a little bit darker up in here. And then simply move over. This is one of my favorite ways to color. I just love the silky light look of it when you're done. So here's our first flower. So you can see you have some dimension and depth to that flower in the color. Hi, Susan. Thank you for joining. So I'm going to go in here Now I'm going to add a little bit of the, let's see here. I think I said I had melon mambo. I do. And this is the one I should have been using. So we're going to add a little bit of this here, and we'll just use both colors. It'll go fine with our card. And then I'm just going to come in and gently work that color around. And you can see how easily it spreads. And it's very relaxing. It really is. So let's set the flirty flamingo off to the side here. And again, I do the darker around the edges. And I'm just going to do this and we'll finish this flower up. While we're coloring this, just a quick reminder that on Sunday, June 30th, that bundle sale that Stampin' Up! Is currently having will be over. So if there's anything you've kind of been wanting or waiting to have, you not only get the 10% off like you normally would for the bundle, but you get another 10% off. So just a quick reminder for that. Okay, and you can see I don't have to go back very often and get the Gamsol on here. Now, if you want to, you can go back and add color. I don't. I'm really happy with how that looks. So let's do our leaves. Now, because, and I want you to see, if you can see that I can pick up color, so I don't want to use that end for my green. So I'm going to go to the other end and let's lay our green down first. So I'm using Old Olive right now. I was so excited to share this technique with you tonight. I think because it's one of my favorites, and I've really hesitated to do it because we're not supposed to use non-Stampin' Up! Products when Stampin' Up! Has them. So that's why I chose to use the water pencils. And I have been doing this technique for a while now, using the watercolor pencils. And it really does work well. I feel it works well. Someone else may tell you different, but I'm going to let you judge. All right, here we're going to go around. And I'm going to go, this on the right is a little bit darker, and I want the left to be a little bit lighter so that I have a little bit more shading on that right side. And let's go ahead and blend this. Okay, let's add a little bit more here. And I am going to come in with just a little bit of the Granny Apple Green because I want just a little bit lighter color. And I'm only adding just a touch of that because it's going to blend with the Old Olive. So let's do this. And again, just circular, easy circular motions. Okay. So does take just a little bit of time. I'm going slower than I normally would just to be able to show you the technique and how you can blend with it. Carla, yes, Gina K, she used it. Oh gosh, I think I saw her use it like 9-10 years ago. She did a flower, like a blue flower. And yes, she does use that. So you're right. So it's just another way to use your supplies that you already have, and to give you a little bit different look. So, all right, we're almost done here. And I am going to add a little bit on the side here of the lighter one. And let's finish this up. So I don't know if it's the circular motion that's relaxing along with the coloring, but whatever it is, it's enjoyable. So now, say you come across something you want a little bit more color. You can go back in with your pencil, add some color, and then go back in with your blender and just do the circular motions again, and it will blend it out for you. All right, now I'm going to cover up my Gamsol, and let me pick this up for you to see. Can you see the detail in the dimension in that color? I am using, good question, I am using our basic white, simply the basic white cardstock. And you can see it really doesn't go through. This is not wet at all. And it dries very quickly. So I want to cut this out for our card. This is the part of the Spotlight of Nature dies. So I'm going to set that right about there. And we're going to take 2 pieces of tape and I'm going to tape that down. And I'm simply going to turn behind me. I'm right here with you. And I'm going to go ahead and cut this out. And then we're ready to put our card together. And I have 2 more to show you. All right. So here's our image. That might be a little big. Let's see. That might be just a little bit too big. Well, I guess we'll go with it. I'm going to cut it down 1 and make it a little bit smaller. Let's do that. So hang with me for a second while I do that. I don't want that big. Just a little bit smaller. Okay. Okay, now we're ready. So I'm just going to peel this back. So you do not need any special type of paper to use this. All right, so I'm coming in with a piece of Melon Mambo. This is 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4 1/4. We're going to go ahead and fold this. Now I will have a PDF tutorial for you with the information on how to use the Gamsol and the measurements and all that, and it'll be ready for you by 10 o'clock tomorrow morning. Now for my front, I took a piece of basic white and I used the eyelet embossing folder, and we're going to go ahead and adhere this to our card front. I apologize for the hoarseness. It's kind of coming and going here. Not really sure why. Okay. And let's go ahead and layer this. Now this is a piece of 4 by 5 1/4, this basic white. I just want to give it a good press to adhere it down. Now I chose to use some more of those Spotlight on Nature dies, and I chose to use some black. And I also chose a piece of paper from the Flowering Zinnias. This has the real red, but it also has, if you can see it, the Melon Mambo for the stars, which kind of resembled the eyelets here. So we're going to go ahead and glue these down. And you might see on the back of these, in trying to be very efficient, I went ahead and put dimensionals on those and had no intention of using dimensionals for it. So I ended up taking them off. So we're just going to layer these a little bit offset on one another. And I'm going to add this one just for some color up in here. Now our die with our flower on it, we are going to pop that up with dimensionals. And I just layer that like that. Make sure it has down good. So let's add some dimensionals to this. And we're going to add just around the perimeter and probably a couple in the center so that it stays popped up. All right. I hope you have some fun plans for the weekend. We're getting into the holiday next week, and hopefully you'll be able to have something to do with family and friends. Now I'm going to layer this right over all three of these, and I'm going to bring it down just a little bit here. I want to be able to get right there, so it's about even on the sides, but also that I have all three circles there. So that's that. Now I have gone ahead and stamped thanks, and this is from the Spotlight on Nature bundle. And we're going to go ahead and trim this down a little bit here. So I'm going to trim this. This is going to go right in here. So I'm going to trim this like, oh, let's go this way. And then I think I'm going to go this way. And we're going to pop that right there. So I'm just going to put one small dimensional on the end. And you can use a glue dot or even a dot of glue, which is what I'm going to do to go ahead and adhere this. Now, the reason I only used one dimensional is because this is going to lean on that popped up circle, and it would not lay down or lay evenly if I did put a dimensional on it. So there's that. And let's decorate it with some gems. So I'm going to grab some, let's see. I thought I had them out, but I didn't. And we also need to finish up our inside. For our inside, I did it already to try to save us some time. I simply took a strip of the Designer Series paper and I layered it on a strip of white. That's a 3/8 inch strip of Designer Series paper layered on a 1/2 inch strip of white, and just put it on my inside of my card. And we're going to add a bow to that flower. And then we'll add some gems. So I'm just going to use linen thread. I want something light and kind of airy. And just going to pull that tight and then bring my loops to the size I would like it to. Okay. And let's trim this. And then I'm just going to take a glue dot here. You grab one. And I'm just going to ball it up in a little ball. And I have glue all over my fingers. There we go. And I'm just going to lay it right here on the edge where those stems are. There we go. And then if you want, you can trim that down. So for our gems, we're going to use, let's see here. I'm going to use the glossy dots with the Melon Mambo. I really like those. And we're going to use our pick tool to pick those up. And I'm even going to use a set of tweezers here. And let's grab one large one and we'll put that here. And then a medium one. And whoops, I'm going to put that down here in the corner. And then I'm going to take a little one. And let's put that right here. All right, let's move this out of the way. So here's our first card. with the Gamsol, um, using Flirty Flamingo and Melon Mambo. Now let me bring in a second one. Now I use the same stamp set, the Spotlight in Nature, for this, but I used Calypso Coral and Flirty Flamingo, and hopefully you can see the coloring with that. And then on the inside, I added the little flower. I stamped the smaller flower from here. And then the third card is my favorite, I think. I used the Simply Zinnia bundle. And look how that zinnia looks with the coloring. Hopefully you can see that. And this was in Highland Heather with Blackberry Bliss for the trim. So let me bring you back to me. So I hope you enjoyed today's video or card class. I really enjoyed doing it for you, and I hope it gives you a little bit more of an idea of how to use your watercolor pencils. Thanks, Deb. Thank you so much. Give it a try. I'd love to hear if you do, if you like it or not. And I will have that PDF for you right down below in the video description. You'll be able to find it by 10 tomorrow. If you like tonight's video, please consider giving me a thumbs up. It helps me grow my channel. Feel free to share it. You have a wonderful, safe weekend. I look forward to being back with you on Monday at 7. Bye-bye, everybody.